The Sisters of Hillock by Daniel McCourt. That's me. This story is vengeance, betrayal, and bewilderment, and is set in the Perthshire town with the same name, Hillock. This was around when witches were being hanged for crimes against God. In Europe, it was the biggest statistic for witchcraft and crimes against God. It was overshadowed by Salem, but if you look at that time period around 1600s, you would notice that Europe was actually the biggest contender for killing women, innocent women who were believed to be witches, which we know now to be nonsense. Joining the crowds, we walked through Hillock, a small Perthshire town. The embers flew through the smoky sky as we approached an old house. A tall old house with windows black as the night sky. The sisters stood outside their door, looking at us with an evil glare. They knew they were going to die. Early morning. Another day, another trial for witchcraft. 3 people have hanged for their crimes against God. The scent of spells filled the air of Hillock for too long, and something needed to be done. I would need to make a stand against the sisters. This would be difficult though. I would need to call a meeting in the county hall, then gather a crowd. The sisters have lived here in Hillock for over 20 years, and no one knew their past. But one thing was sure, they looked very religious, and they were very, very fortunate in life. This aroused a lot of suspicion in an already suspicious town. Elizabeth Cunning, a friend of the sisters, a young woman in her 20s, was caught dancing naked around a fire in Old Willow Woods after midnight, singing satanic songs and chanting satanic spells. The spell translated kind of like, Lord of evil, Lord of bad, buy my soul for what I need and what you have. We believe that she had spoken to the devil and has made a deal with him. She will be thrown off a cliff, and if she survives, she will indeed be a witch, and she will be burned and die for her crimes. And if she does not, and she dies, then she will be taken to God in heaven, and God will forgive her. I just charged her with witchcraft and gave her the last rites, for indeed she was a witch. I was sure of it. I looked over, blindfolded her, and as justice was served, I threw her off a cliff. The sisters, being part of the crowd, witnessed this, and they seemed stricken with fear. I noticed this in their eyes, and this was another piece of evidence for me to convict them. A meeting was called the following day, and the sisters did not attend. A register was taken, and the people of Hillock started to spread rumours. They talked amongst themselves, accusing the sisters of things that they could never say to the sisters' face. 5 years prior, the sisters were charged with carrying implements of witchcraft. Candles were found in their home after the town agreed that the house could be searched. Nothing was done, as they said that the candles were for mourning reasons, as to mourn their mother, and no one knew about their past, so this could be possible. The sisters' charges were forgotten about, and this was a distraction. I see right through these people. I know the sisters have them all under a spell, but somehow I am not affected. Present day. Everyone in the hall came to an agreement. Tonight we will descend on the sisters and put them on trial for witchcraft. This will end whatever spell the sisters have on the town. Rumours about the sisters captured and spread like wildfire. Everyone was jealous or saw something different in the sisters, wanted to help bring them down or bring them to justice. The sun had faded and moonlight came out as the stars shone in the clear sky. Each villager walked to the town centre and collected a torch. As the crowd gathered, the marching slowly started. Down towards the old house, the capture of the bewildered sisters, the bewitching sisters, will take place. Everyone was high on adrenaline. I am not an honest man, by the way. In fact, I am deviant, twisted, and also practice witchcraft myself. Shh. I took an unhealthy addiction to the dark arts one time when I saw a priest in a cathedral reading a book. Of course, we hanged a priest for crimes against God, and I took possession of the book. One night, when the moon was full, I sat alone and gathered the ingredients to cast the spell. And the spell worked. It went into the night sky, and the spell was wicked, but I wanted to practice magic successfully, so I needed a distraction. I needed to be free of suspicion. The spell I cast would bring young women to the town and make them seem suspicious. Women that were considered weird or unusual to the Christian townfolk. The spell would kill innocent women and girls. The sisters were in fact the victim of this spell, and the townfolk gathered at the house, preparing themselves for the spells that the sisters may put on them. Some folk were praying, others were chanting, people were clutching crucifixes and torches like their life depended on it. I arrived at the gate of the house, and I asked the sisters to come forth and to face the crowd. They would die, I would live. The sisters were forced to the stacks, and they were told if they were witches to escape. The townfolk passing through would shout insults calling them witches and pretending to get an incredible itch every time the woman looked upon the townspeople, and said that they heard the sisters cast spells on passing townfolk, saying things like, "Oh, shiver, oh, it's cold, witches, witches," after a day in the stacks, and a court hearing that didn't go to the witches' favour. Oh, I'm sorry, the sisters' favour. They were sentenced to death, and before, and as if always, they will be thrown off a cliff. If they survive, they will indeed be witches and shall burn at the stake. And if they fall to their death, well, no heaven for them. I practice witchcraft, and the devil will receive them. Thank you.